There are two kinds of people who buy a used BMW under $10,000. One of them ends up with a car that outlasts their mortgage. The other ends up standing in a dealership parking lot watching a tow truck load up what used to be their pride and joy, wondering where the last $4,000 went. The difference between those two people isn't luck. It's knowing exactly which chassis codes to chase and which ones to run from. Today, we're covering the E90 that mechanics fight over, the BMW almost nobody realizes is bulletproof, and the luxury flagship you couldn't pay me to own. Stick around to the end, because the last one on the regret list is the one that catches almost everyone off guard. Why most buyers get this wrong. Most people shop by mileage, horsepower, or how clean the paint looks. Mechanics shop by engine code. Two BMWs that look nearly identical on a used car lot can have completely different reliability depending on what's under the hood. And that's the whole reason one of them hits 250,000 miles while the other one ends up on a tow truck. Pick number 1, the E90 328i with the N52 engine. If I had to recommend one BMW to a first-time buyer with a tight budget, it's the 2007 to 2010 E90 328i with the naturally aspirated N52 straight 6. No turbo means no turbo failures. No high-pressure fuel pump means none of the injector nightmares that plague the turbocharged cars from the same era. These engines will comfortably clear 200,000 miles if the cooling system has been kept up. That's the catch, and it's the only real catch. The plastic cooling system components, the water pump, the thermostat housing, the expansion tank, they're all plastic from the factory, and they get brittle with age and heat cycles. Budget for a full cooling system refresh around 90,000 to 100,000 miles if the previous owner hasn't already done it. As for records, if they can't produce a water pump receipt, assume it hasn't been done and price that into your offer. Before you hand over $1, plug in a code reader and pull the full history, not just the check engine light status. I run the Foxwell and T530 on every used BMW I inspect because it reads BMW-specific modules that a generic OBD2 scanner will completely miss, things like individual cylinder misfire history and long-term fuel trims. A car can show 0 active codes and still be hiding a pattern of stored faults that tells you exactly where it's about to fail next. One more quick note on the N52. The plastic oil filter housing gasket ages out over time regardless of what you run, but sticking to the correct factory oil spec, I use Leaky Moly Full Synthetic, keeps the rest of the engine healthy while that gasket does its slow decline. It's a cheap habit that pays off. The next BMW is even older, but I trust it more than some BMWs built 15 years later. Pick number 2, the E39 540i with the M62 V8. The E39 generation, built from 1997 through 2003, is widely considered the last BMW built the old way, before cost-cutting really set in on the chassis engineering. The 540i with the M62 V8 is a genuinely underrated used buy right now because most shoppers are scared off by the words V8 and assume it means expensive repairs. It's not maintenance-free. The timing chain guides do wear with age and high mileage. So listen for chain rattle on a cold start. But the bottom end is proven and there's enough low-end torque that it doesn't feel like a 20-year-old car. The early Nikasil line blocks from before 1998 had cylinder wall wear issues with high sulfur fuel. So you want a 1999 or a later model with the Elusil block to sidestep that entirely. The transmission is where these cars get abandoned by owners who don't know better. The ZF 5-speed automatic behind the M62 needs a fluid service, not a lifetime fill like the sticker under the hood claims. I use ZF Lifeguard Fluid 8 when I service these, and if you buy a 540i with unknown transmission history, get that fluid change in your first month. It's a $200 service that can add another 100,000 miles to that gearbox. Number 3 is the car almost everyone skips, and that's exactly why it's such a bargain. Pick number 3, the E46 330i with the M54 engine. The E46 330i is probably the single most requested chassis in my comment section, and for good reason. The M54 straight 6 under the hood is one of the most bulletproof engines BMW has ever produced, full stop. It doesn't have the rod bearing issues of the later N63 V8s, It doesn't have the timing chain guide failures of the N20, it just runs. What actually kills these cars is neglect, specifically the cooling system and the rear subframe. On E46 sedans built before mid-2003, there's a well-documented rear subframe reinforcement issue where the trailing arm mounting points can crack under hard driving or high mileage. BMW issued a recall and reinforcement plates for this, so before you buy, get underneath the car and look for those plates, or ask your inspector to check specifically for cracking around the rear subframe mounts. This is not something you want to discover after you've already paid. On the cooling side, same story as the E90, plastic components age out. Budget for a water pump and thermostat within your first year. Unless you have documentation, it was already done. This is also a great chassis to learn basic maintenance on yourself. Which brings me to something I put together for exactly this reason. Number 4 is the one people overlook because it lives in the shadow of a badge they're scared of. If you're serious about keeping any of these cars running past 200,000 miles instead of trading them in at the first warning light, I put everything I know, every reset procedure, every maintenance interval, every early warning sign, in a one resource called the Complete BMW Longevity Bible. It's linked in the description if you want the full breakdown instead of piecing it together from comment sections. Pick number 4, the E60 528i with the N52. The E60 Generation 5 series gets a bad reputation because people lump it in with the more troublesome N54 and N63 powered variants. But the 528i, built with the same naturally aspirated N52.6 as our first pick, sidesteps almost all of that reputation. You're getting a bigger, more comfortable car than the 3 Series for often less money, because shoppers overlook it in favor of flashier trims. The trade-off is the electronics. The E60 was BMW's first real push into complex electronic systems: iDrive, active steering options, air suspension on some trims. Stick to a base 528i without the air suspension option if you want to minimize complexity, and always verify the battery registration is current, because these cars are extremely sensitive to battery health in ways older BMWs simply weren't. A weak or improperly registered battery on an E60 can trigger cascading electrical faults that look like a dozen different problems but trace back to one root cause. I keep a CDK charger on hand for every European car I service, because these cars punish you for letting a battery sit at a partial charge. If you're buying an E60, budget for a battery replacement and proper registration as part of your first month, even if the current one tests fine. Last one on the good list is also the newest car here, and it comes with a hard rule you cannot skip. Pick number 5, the F30 328i with the N20 engine, but only post 2015. This one comes with a hard rule. The F30 328i uses the N20 turbocharged 4-cylinder, and the early versions of this engine, roughly 2012 through 2014, had a documented timing chain guide failure that could lead to catastrophic engine damage if it let go. BMW extended the warranty on this specific issue because it was that widespread. If you're shopping this chassis, you want a 2015 or later model year after BMW revised the timing chain components. Get the VIN and cross-reference the production date before you even go look at the car in person. Bought right, the later N20 is a genuinely good engine, decent fuel economy, real turbo power, and a much more modern interior and safety suite than anything else on this list. It's significantly improved over the early cars, not completely immune, so this is exactly the kind of buy where a pre-purchase skin matters more than a test drive. A timing chain that's starting to stretch will often show up as intermittent cam and crank correlation faults in the stored codes long before you'd ever hear it in the engine bay. Regret number 1, the E65 7 Series. Now for the cars I want to save you from. The E65 Generation 7 Series, built from 2002 through 2008, shows up on used car lots at prices that feel almost too good to be true. A luxury flagship BMW for the price of a used Camry. That price is the warning, not the deal. This generation introduced iDrive in its clunkiest early form alongside an air suspension system, electronic parking brake, an AV8 or V12 that were never designed with long-term ownership in mind. Air suspension compresseur fail. Valve blocks fail. Electronic components that were expensive when new are now orphan technology that few independent shops even want to touch. You're not buying a cheap luxury car. You're buying a 5-figure repair bill wearing a leather interior. Regret number 2, the F10 550i with the N63 twin-turbo V8. Everybody's heard the N63 warnings about the X5 and X6 by now, so most shoppers assume they're safe once they're looking at a sedan instead of an SUV. That assumption is exactly what makes the F10 550i so dangerous. Same engine, same rod bearing problem, same story, just wearing a more conservative body style that doesn't scream turbo V8 wrist the way an X6 does. BMW ran a customer service program acknowledging the rod bearing issue and covering repairs for a limited window, which tells you how serious it was. On most used examples, now that window has closed and a rod bearing job can run well into 5 figures. Oil consumption is also notoriously high on these, even when everything's technically working correctly. So an owner topping off a quart every 1,000 miles isn't necessarily doing anything wrong. The engine was just built that way. If you insist on this chassis, an oil analysis and a compression test are non-negotiable, and I'd personally still walk away unless the seller has documentation of the rod bearing service already being done with upgraded bearings. The last one on this list is the car everyone forgets to check, and it's the one I get the most comments about. Regret number 3. Any N54 with NO fuel pump history. The N54 twin-turbo engine, found in the 335i and 135i, is actually a fantastic engine on paper. Massive tuning potential, strong factory power output, a genuine enthusiast favorite. The problem isn't just the high-pressure fuel pump, though that's the big one, a well-known failure pattern causing rough, idle, stalling, and in worst cases a complete stall-out. Injectors, wastegate rattle, and turbo will show up often enough on these that they're worth budgeting for too. Almost every early N54 will eventually need the fuel pump replaced if it hasn't been already, and shockingly few sellers know to mention it, because the symptoms come on gradually and get blamed on old gas or a dying battery. If you're looking at an N54 car, and I'd understand why you would, ask directly whether the fuel pump has been replaced and get the injectors and turbos checked while you're at it. If the answer is no, or the seller looks confused by the question, assume you're buying those repairs on day 1 and negotiate accordingly. How to not get burned. Every car on the good list can turn into a money pit if you skip the basics, and every car on the regret list can technically be owned successfully if you go in with your eyes open and your wallet ready. The difference is always the same. Pull the full diagnostic history before you buy, not after. Service the fluids on the schedule the engineers actually recommended, not the marketing department's lifetime fill nonsense. And keep the battery on a proper maintainer between drives, especially on anything built after 2010, because these cars are far less forgiving of a dead battery than people expect. I put the complete version of this, every checklist, every reset procedure, every red flag I look for during an inspection, into the complete BMW Longevity Bible. If you're about to go shopping for any of the cars on this list this weekend, that guide is the difference between buying a project car by accident and buying a car that's genuinely worth every penny you put into it. Links in the description. One last piece of advice before you go looking at any of these. Never let a seller, dealer, or private party talk you out of an independent pre-purchase inspection because it just passed inspection or the dealership already checked it out. A dealership inspection is designed to get the car sold, not to protect your wallet. Paid $150 for an independent mechanic to put on a lift and scan it properly. On a car that could either save you tens of thousands of miles of trouble-free driving or cost you a transmission rebuild in the first year. That inspection fee is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy. Drop a comment and tell me which chassis you're currently driving or shopping for. I read every single one, and I'll usually reply with what to watch for on your specific mileage. If this saved you from making a 5-figure mistake, subscribe because next week I'm breaking down the exact maintenance schedule that gets these engines past 250,000 miles. Remember, buying a cheap BMW isn't expensive. Buying the wrong cheap BMW is.